Hey guys, what's going on? It's Filmington, and in front of us we've got our very first ever SGC submission reveal. I sent these cards out to them in early April. They were received on Saturday, April 11th. They were acknowledged the following business day on Monday, April 13th, and I got these back in the mail on May 11th. So that would be, depending on whether you count Saturday or Monday as the clock time start date, you're looking at 20 to 21 business days. And this was the non-expedited service, the longest turnaround time that they currently have that they're selling, and that's 20 business days. So pretty much right in line with that. And it's kind of remarkable if you ask me. I talked to a sales rep from SGC, and he said that their volume increase has been roughly 10 times or greater over the last 6 months. And he said that it wasn't abrupt. It's been a steady climb. And you think about when PSA shut down, when Beckett shut down, probably in very early March. It's been 2.5 months since that happened, and they're still meeting turnaround times. Now, there are cases where they're bumping up against them, in some cases going a little bit over. I know I have another order out to them. I sent it to them on April 27th. It's May 15th today. That's 15 business days. There's no movement. But guys, I mean, if you're to compare this to PSA and Beckett, do you think that one of those companies could scale if volume increased 10 times or even 5 times? And, not even in 6 months. Let's talk about a year. Do you think that any one of those companies could scale and keep to their SLAs, which they're not doing already? I don't think so. You could look at CLCT's financial statements. You could see that they've experienced a ton of growth. But for me, scale is as much of a voluntary decision of let's scale. It's important to us. We value this as it is a people factor, a process factor, and a technology constraint. So I give a lot of credit to SGC here. I think that, if they do go 1.5 times their current SLAs, I think that's still very impressive. Another thing I would say, and by the way, guys, I'm not being compensated in any way by SGC. I don't receive any preferential treatment by them. It wouldn't be fun if I did, because then I wouldn't be able to tell the truth on here. I'm here to tell the truth. SGC has the ability to provide great service to their bulk customers right now. And that is because if you look at their pricing structure, and it'll change in time, I get it, it should. I think that their non-bulk services are actually too cheap right now. And I think over the last couple of weeks, they've maybe adjusted some of those numbers a bit. But right now, the bulk service and the non-bulk service could be a difference of $1.50. We're talking about 15%. And if you have a promotion code with non-bulk, you could be paying roughly the same as somebody who's submitting in bulk. And Peter Steinberg, in his interview with Cardboard Chronicles, he emphasized that we value bulk customers. We want to provide them better service. We consider them our key customers. And you look at PSA, there's a difference of a lot of the times $10, $12 or more per card that customers are spending. Now, granted, if you were to take all of their revenues and break it up across bulk versus non-bulk, yes, the bulk segment is a majority, or it's a significant part of their client base. But I think that SGC coming out there and saying we value them, plus looking into the numbers, there's really no reason for them to be put on the back burner. So I think this is great for hobbyists. I think this competition is going to be something that will exceed a lot of people's expectations. If you look at the pricing structure and the turnaround times from a company like Beckett, they are not very conducive to the bulk activity. So I think SGC will supplant, if they haven't already, Beckett, and I think they're going to definitely give PSA a run for their money in years to come. Once more cards get sold, once more cards get submitted, they get more popular. People like the slabs more. Collectors like them more. I think we're going to have a really great landscape, much better than what we had a year ago. And in turn, I think that'll help the other companies improve their current levels of service as well. So, all right. So my experience, customer service was great with SGC. Website was easy to use, intuitive. I liked the live tracking of the orders, little workflow dashboard thing. Aesthetics of the slabs. I'll admit, guys, I was somewhat blown away. These look better in person. Oh, by the way, I also like how they image the cards and they send you the scans before they deliver them. It almost feels like early Christmas to me. It was awesome. Really high quality scans, really shows off those cards. Another thing, the slabs, I think they're a little bit more scratch resistant than PSA. So by the time you get them, they're not already scratched. That's a huge plus. Having said that, I probably need to find some superior fit sleeves that fit SGC. I don't have any. All right, so 5.5 minutes of me blabbering. Let's get to these slabs. I think there were like 27 cards, and I did about how I expected. And I'll explain that a little bit towards the end, the breakdown of the grades. All right, so some lower end stuff. 2020 tops. I dropped a few spoilers that I was going to submit some of the newer base stuff that had very low or non-existent pops in PSA. Of course, those are starting to come back, but at this point, I actually have 7 pending orders with PSA that I submitted between the months of November to January, maybe early February. Got another Gavin Lux 10. Now, I wouldn't have submitted these cards if I wasn't positive. I thought they'd get gem mint. Some of these cards, the lower end ones like that. We got our Bowman Chrome Wander. I love this card. It's a beautiful card. And out of everybody in the minor league system, he's got the best chance to succeed in the long term, I think. I don't know what he does in the short term. He still needs to develop power. He's got an 80 grade hit tool. Phenomenal hitter, great talent, switch hitter. And I'm not too worried about the Rays effect either. Plus, I mean, Vegas had him as a 90-win team. I know they don't have a fan base still, but Jordan... Right, 10 there. I like Jordan. Something that you have to realize is, you can't really compare him to a Pete Alonso once you look at their ability to make contact, avoid strikeouts, hit for a high average. Jordan Alvarez is a much more mature hitter. Marco Luciano, I like this kid a lot. One of the few prospects I've been buying right now, actually the only one, since the COVID thing happening, because I could kind of foresee a shift of money from the risky, from the youth to the more proven, to the more staple commodities like the Mike Trouts of the world and the vintage players. Gavin Lux in May. Just a base card from Heritage. One of the things that, and those back pages, he's mentioned this as well. He's got a YouTube channel. He's got a ton of knowledge, by the way. If the card has a black border, a lot of people say they like it a lot, but generally, I don't. I think the card gets a little bit more lost. I think the cards that look the best have the brighter colors, brighter borders, the ones that, assuming they have borders, and the shiny cards, I think, look really nice. I think it brings out the chromium. You compare this, and for the longest time, Beckett has had the lion's share of the Lions' market share of the Bowman Chrome autographs, first autographs. Well, the knock on their slabs is that you can't see the cards as well because they're thicker, a little bit more cloudy often. With SGC, you don't have that. It's very bright. So we'll see how SGC penetrates both the Topps base card markets for modern as well as Bowman Chrome. I think it'll be interesting to see. I already showed that. We got 2 of these 2018 Topps Series 2. Now, if you watched my recent video, you probably got a headache if you did, so I apologize for that. Very dense material, probably 4.5 hours worth of content in 13 minutes. I mentioned how the better card is actually the Topps update, but, wasn't my choice. I picked these up in a kind of a bulk buy, and they were very, very cheap, so I'll definitely take that. And he's one of the players that probably benefited a little bit from COVID, if that's even possible, because he was coming off of Tommy John surgery, and now he's 18 months removed from going under the knife, and that's usually when they start regaining their control, and hopefully the velocity's already back. So I got his Topps Chrome as well, same bulk purchase, all 10s. Happy with that. These are other cards I picked up in that same bulk purchase. This is all from a show. I mean, these ended up being like $2 a piece, so can't really go wrong. This was probably during that same week that the Topps Update US 250 card started going crazy. I think like last week of February when those cards started to break $200. And then I was like, hey, why not? Like, it's not, I don't seek out Helen and Ginter or Gypsy Queen or brands like that. But I mean, for the price, I was like, these ones might get pulled up. And I think they have. So 10 and 9.5 there. And then I got the glossy. Maybe they're a little bit more valuable. Probably not a whole lot. You can't really tell the difference if you don't look closely. But 10 and a 9.5 there. And by the way, guys, 9.5 with SGC is not the same thing as a Beckett 9.5. So in some cases, you see comps where it's actually somewhat similar. But I would, again, I'm not getting paid by SGC. I'm here to tell the truth. That is a travesty. Even if it's a min gem, BGS 9.5, and you don't characterize that as a true gem mint card, it's still on my hierarchy, on the population's hierarchy, it should really be higher than a 9.5 with SGC. It's mint plus, all right? So technically, the 9.5 should sell in between a Beckett 9 and a Beckett 9.5. Then there's another debate whether the 10 should sell more than the 9.5, and that one, I think there's arguments on either side. The Beckett 9.5 versus the SGC 10 gem mint, not pristine. All right, next we've got some Bowman Chrome autographs. Got here got a 9. So the difference between SGC and Beckett is the autograph grade's actually going to be on the inside on the left. So at first that kind of confused me. I wasn't surprised by this, and I submitted 3 of these cards, picked them up raw for about $25 last like November or something. And I really like this kid. Unfortunately, I think a lot of the players under the age of 30 have been hurt by the coronavirus, missing a season. With the younger guys, it's missing the development. And I mean by that I mean prospects. With the guys that are already in the major leagues, it's missing counting stats, building up a Hall of Fame caliber profile. Not saying that Ketel Marte would ever be able to do that, but he is sort of a late bloomer. I think he's about 27 now. Nice, beautiful autograph on that card. And 2 more. I got a 9.5 and a 10. So I was talking to Eliteco 3 about this. He's not a big fan of the autograph grade. He thinks it looks too busy. Probably, especially since the numbering size is very large on these. It does bother me a little bit, but it's not a deal breaker for me, the size of the grade. Ultimately, it's the most important thing on the slab, and you can still see the card too. So I don't know. But he's not a big fan of the auto grade, and I'm waiting on that one. I'm going to wait to see what the market decides, if most people are getting their autographs graded or not. I assume that they would, because I think the cost difference is negligible or nothing between the two. Next up, we got a blue. This card is really sweet looking. Really happy to have this one. I'll probably hold on to it for a bit. Everybody loves the true blue Bowman Chrome autographs, and high grades are tough to find, guys. So I'm assuming this is a Pop 1, but I guess we don't really know that if there's not a publicly available registry yet on the website, as far as what I know. Next up, got some Topps Heritage Actions. I picked up 4 of these raw, maybe 5, submitted 3. I got 2 10s. Very, very nice. This is another example of maybe it would look a little bit better in a PSA slab because of the black borders. It doesn't have a ton of shine on it. The back of the card looks nice in the slab. I don't know if I'm sold on the this look though. Black on black. But I'll show you an example of where I do like it. You'll see some of that coming up real soon, actually. Got a 9.5 on this one. I think that of Lux, Jordan, and Bichette, there's a whole lot to like about any 3 of them. And I like how there's a debate to any of the 3. Bichette's, oh, look at that. That is, to me, that's beautiful. Even though it's a little bit darker of a card, it's got that shine. It really pops in that slab, I think. So, and Devers' stuff has gotten pretty out of control in Topps Chrome. Base card raw is like $6 now. What was I going to say? Yeah, with Lux, Bichette, and Jordan, he's got didn't he have like the highest slugging percentage ever for a rookie, qualifying rookie? Craziness. He has legit ability to hit 300 with 40 home runs in a full season, not in this year's season if there is one. And then Bichette, he's got gap power. He's a shortstop. He can do a little bit of everything. And then with Lux, he's on the Dodgers. He probably has the best minor league pedigree of all 3 of them. He's got big time plate discipline and average, and he's got power too. Maybe not as much as Bichette or Jordan. Shane Bieber. He's a guy I liked. I brought him up in my speculation series, and I think this is the first somewhat big pickup of his I made, and I'm happy with this. 9.5, 10. True Blue. Pitchers overall, I don't think we're affected as much as hitters with COVID. Because if you think about pitchers and the way they age, it's really more about mileage than it is about age. So you look at somebody like Jacob deGrom versus Bumgarner. By the way they're throwing, you wouldn't be able to tell what their ages are. It's because Bumgarner has been overused, 225 plus innings, including the playoffs, multiple years in a row. What is he, like 30, 31 now, versus deGrom was older? But one of them is coming into their prime, and one of them is clearly dropping precipitously velocity-wise. It's very, very noticeable with Bumgarner. Of course, he's got that control. Sometimes these elite pitchers are able to kind of rediscover a new way of pitching, focusing on other things and still being effective. CC Sabathia had that second stage, and I guess Verlander did too, but then he rediscovered his velocity. All right, this one, we got Gleyber Torres. So I knew these weren't PSA. I thought they weren't PSA 10s. I submitted my best two to PSA. Still waiting on those. But I thought that they were strong PSA 9s. So in this case, I got the 9.5. So I think it was a good idea to submit these two. Not sure. Of course, there's not going to be any comps around these. So I'm going to try to price them somewhat aggressively, probably in between a PSA 9 and a BGS 9.5. And just because the pop is low, probably a little bit closer to a BGS 9.5. In the last card, we got Jose Ramirez. And this card, I just wanted to get it slabbed. It's, for me, when I'm setting up at shows, and clearly that's not going to happen that much this year, but when I'm setting up at shows, it hurts me if I have mid-end cards, that cost between whatever, $50 to $100 raw, and I'm trying to sell those alongside slabbed cards because people see like, oh wow, everything he's got slab, so that must be like terrible. It's either trimmed, it's an 8. There's a reason why nobody wants that one. These cards don't get a whole lot of attention, so I just figured like, whatever, I'll just submit it. I'll get the 9. With SGC, you're not breaking the bank. You can get it back fairly quickly, and that's what I did. So another card that presents very well in the SGC slab. So overall, here's my breakdown. And it's about what I expected again. I'm very pleased with the consistency and the quality of the grades that they provided. I didn't get any SGC 10 gold labels, and I think that's okay. I personally didn't see any card that was worthy of that when I submitted them. I also didn't receive anything below a 9, which I think is also fair. If anything, it would have been this one, 8.5 maybe, but I didn't actually document the grades ahead of time that I thought they would get. Just kind of had it in my head. And hopefully you guys liked what you saw. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Filmington out.